This is the Ben Herman Show.
Hey, what's up, everyone? We are back here in Las Vegas at Mobile Entertainment Expo and Photo Booth Expo, and I've got my good friend Chris Collins from BoothBook. What's up, Chris? How you doing?
Yeah, good.
Awesome. So Chris has had a ton of experience in regards to software specifically.
Yep.
And BoothBook. You want to actually let the listeners know what BoothBook specifically does? And
Yeah, so I started my own events company in 2013, and as we got busier and busier, I found that I was dropping the ball a few times with clients. I wasn't always responding to emails in time. I was forgetting to send reminders. And as we went from 20 to 30 bookings a year, it was easy. But then as we got past the 100 bookings or 150 bookings a year mark, the admin side was just eating into my day-to-day. And so sending emails, invoices, contracts, that side of things, it was killing us. So I had a digital marketing company before, and where I was the lead developer for websites and systems. So I actually built ourselves a booking system to help us manage all our photo booth bookings. And yeah, it went from there really. So we did it for the first 2 years. It was just our own in-house software that we used in order to make ourselves
more efficient.
More efficient.
Yeah.
We wanted to build a lean and mean business that could run without a full office staff. So we built a system where a client could self-serve, go onto our website, select a date, choose a package, book, and then sign a contract, pay, and we would just wake up in the morning and there'd be a booking paid, contract signed, ready to go, and we never had to talk to a single client.
That's beautiful,
Yeah,
right?
It was
That's
huge.
Amazing.
And that is really important when it comes to business scalability as well, because if you're the one who is constantly required to speak to clients, I hear a lot of people say, "Oh no, clients have to talk to me first. I want to make sure that these are the people I want to work with." That's usually because they've not experienced a full, true automated system that can cap the maximum mileage or calculate travel fees or only work for specific venues or only work when a client has got a certain link from a certain place. So you can use automation a lot and not be the one holding your business back. You can allow it just to scale online without you. That got us to where we were as an event company. We grew really quickly. And then with BoothBook, the software, I started talking to people who said, "Oh man, we need this." So I gave it a name and pushed it out there for the world.
Pushed it out there, huh? Yeah.
We're now in 35 countries and it's translated into 14 languages.
Wow.
And it brings us to Vegas every year, Australia, and other trade shows around the world. And can't quite believe it, really.
That's incredible. And I'm so glad that you touched on the fact that a human doesn't necessarily need to be a part of the booking process every single time. So I spoke yesterday on the MEX side, which is really for the mobile DJs side of this conference. And my wife had actually been in the back of the audience, and she sat next to a group of folks that seemed to be solo operators. So they were just like, single ops. And they're scoffing at the fact that I was talking about an automated consultation, an automated booking process. They're like, "No, you have to talk to a person," right? And little do they know that, like, no, you don't necessarily have to. Like, as long as you are able to efficiently educate the prospect on the value that you can provide in exchange for the price that you're charging,
Exactly.
right? And value needs to exceed price. That's what it comes down to.
And it's important as well to constantly reassess your goals and why you're doing this business in the first place. A lot of us were just doing it as a side gig, and then it grew and got busier, and we had to bring in teams and build systems and processes. But when you ask yourself why they don't have just a normal job working 40 hours a week for somebody else versus becoming an entrepreneur and starting their own business, it's usually because they're trying to get more money and more time. And yet they've still got the same mentality of being in a job where they're working 40 hours a week. Sometimes, in the early stages of a new business, much more, 60, 70 hours a week. And feeling like they're never going to get out of this rut. So as soon as they get out of the way and can implement, delegation, elimination, and automation, that's when your business becomes an actual asset with sale value. And it can be something that you can build and grow and use to either bring passive income or to get that exit and move on to the next thing. So
absolutely, yeah. And listen, guys, you don't necessarily need. So you want to build your business to be able to sell, but you don't necessarily need to sell it, right? So you can just build it so that way it can run on its own with systems, automation, and technology, right? but you can still hold on to the asset, right? I mean, especially if it's producing a ton of profit for you, why not hold on to the asset, right?
It's actually a way better asset as well. So
Yeah.
people always talk about, oh, I'm going to flip a property,
Yeah.
or I'm going to buy this, it's going to go up in value. And that seems to be a lot less risky to people, or like a safer bet, because we've done it for years.
Yeah, yeah.
But you'll buy a property and it will only go up by a certain amount in a certain amount of time. What I love about business is that if you are building a business that's profitable, you can expect anywhere between 2 to 3 times the profitability of that business to be
absolutely.
your sale value. Let alone when you get over $1 million a year in revenue, or you start adding things like subscription revenue to your business, then you can hit 5, 7, 10 times multipliers.
Absolutely.
And how amazing is that you could be on a 5 times multiplier, increase your profitability by $10,000, and then suddenly add $50,000 to your sale price.
Yeah.
That for me is much more rewarding than sitting on a property.
Yeah.
Because you can do so much more about it.
Yeah. And I usually encourage folks that, are younger in business, they hear the same thing, right? Especially if you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about real estate investing, right? And so a lot of us get trapped into getting into real estate early on, where it's, again, I mean, you still have to put a down payment on a piece of real estate, right? So you have all this capital that's tied up in that asset. Yes, you can still have the bank usually finance 80% of it, which is great, sometimes even 90%. But you're sitting on an asset for many, many years, and it's cranking out minimal cash flow compared to building and scaling a DJ business or a photo booth business or any other business for that matter, really. I personally think, and I'd love to find out, because you're also a real estate investor as well, would you agree that it's actually a better strategy to focus on building a business first, and then once you've acquired a certain level of wealth, then get into real estate investing for the tax benefits mainly, right? The 27 and a half years of depreciation and...
I mean, there's those 2 categories, right? So you've got assets and you've got liabilities. A liability is you buying a flashy new car, just spending the money and then having something that depreciates as soon as you drive it off the forecourt. Whereas an asset is something that you can hold, like a stock or intellectual property or physical property, and those are things that the longer you hold them, the more money you're going to get from them. So you can have cash flow, but then also capital gain. And that's no different in business. There's, if you can build a business where you are not required in the day-to-day running, and you become an owner, you get to that investor level where you don't have to wake up in the morning and it will still make money whether you get out of bed or not. Or you want to turn your phone off and go away for 6 weeks, and you know that when you come back 6 weeks later, the team will still be growing your business, they'll be pushing it, advertising it, be making money, and you don't need to be in the driving seat for every second of those 6 weeks. That, for me, what I've done with my businesses and that level where I am now, that is the most rewarding feeling in the world.
Absolutely.
Because I'm spending more time with my family and, living in nice places and just enjoying life at still quite a young age. And I think that is what I want to aspire to with anything I get into in business-wise, because that for me is, freedom and liberation.
Yeah. It's safe to assume that you probably have shared a ton of conversations with various booth owners specifically, since you run a CRM for photo booth owners. And you probably see some of the bigger players versus the smaller players. In your opinion, what sets those two apart? Why is it that some, businesses grow and scale and others stay stuck for 10, 20, 30 years even?
So for clarity, there's people on our system that are doing 2,000, 3,000 events a year. They are out doing, 50, 60 events on a weekend each night. And they've got these huge teams. And can you imagine running a company like that where you have no systems, no official training, no automated emails, nothing helping you run that part of the business? Sure, you could scale a gigantic team to handle every single part of that, but that's when you're going to shrink, your margin,
right?
And get less profit. You could be doing 2,000, 3,000 events a year and thinking, this is fantastic. My revenue is millions and millions and millions. But if your profit's only $10,000 at the end of it, your company's not worth much.
Especially the risk profile. I mean, you're taking on all this risk, doing all this work for a minimal payout.
So when we look at these companies and see what they're doing differently, that owner has stepped out a long time ago. They have an ops manager who is setting up all the equipment ready to go out in the vehicles and go to the venues. They have maybe one team member in the office who is answering the phone to clients when they call. but really managing the CRM and that admin side of things. And then the actual business owner themselves have figured out that where they add the most value to the business is being the face of the business, going to networking meetings, going to the local chamber of commerce, getting themselves on local television, doing local radio adverts, talking to other vendors in their area and bartering deals and ways that they can work together.
Yeah.
And I think for owners that really get themselves out of the business and focus working on it, they're the ones that just see that insane scale and growth and profitability. And that's really exciting to see.
Yeah, that's a great nugget and a great takeaway for you that's watching right now. So one context that I love, and it's not my original idea, this is just what I've learned over the years, is really look at the per hour rate that you're paying yourself, right? So a lot of us actually end up paying ourselves less than minimum wage, right? Because we work in the business 60, 70 hours, right? And then for the actual payout or the salary that we're paying ourselves is less than minimum wage, right? And as a CEO, but really as a business owner, you're trying to work your way towards, only focusing on tasks that generate $1,000 to $5,000 per hour, right?
Yeah.
So those tasks that are the $1,000 and $5,000 an hour tasks.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're stuck in the business really busy for 40, 50 hours a week, you don't have ever the time to step back and get a clear overview of where are you going with this? What are you doing? What's your goals? What are you trying to build here? Why did you leave your job? It's usually to, spend more time with the family, go on holidays, buy nice things, live a better life, eat better, travel. These are the reasons that you go, okay, I'm going to leave the rat race and do my own thing. And then you'll, like you just said, you'll see people 10 years down the line who are still stuck doing the same thing, and they'll probably work trading their time, their time for money till retirement age. And unless they've been smart and profitable all the way along the way, they won't have much to show for it.
Yeah.
So,
and I've also noticed meeting these folks, they usually don't lack any more passion. I mean, they're very passionate. They're very driven. They're motivated. They're really hard workers.
Sometimes the ones in the business doing the 40, 50 hours a week are more passionate than the ones who've stepped out of the business.
True, yeah.
And I think it's just a case of not taking it easy and working less harder and taking time off so the team can do it. But if you can just redirect that passion towards building out those systems, building a great team, spending the time with team, bringing people into your company culture that want to do the job as good as you. And most of the time that I bring people into my businesses, they're better at things than I am.
Same here, yeah.
Yeah, and I figured out my best role inside the business is just to be a bit of a generalist. Know enough about each thing in the business so that I can ask the right questions and know what they're doing and why, but really letting them get on with it.
Offer accountability, I'm assuming, and guidance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Love that. What would you say to the person that's like, Chris has a lot of great things to say right now, but he's talking a lot about profit margins and revenue, and I'm not doing it for the money. What would you say to that person?
So if it's not the money, maybe it's the lifestyle, maybe it's
time,
the freedom.
Yeah.
Money does tend to bring freedom. But that being said, you can step out, enjoy time out of the business while not making a lot of money. You could quite easily replace your role in the business, appoint a CEO, somebody to take your place in it and be the overseer. Because that's hard when you're scaling up as well. It's not like somebody's given you $1 million to suddenly build a team of 30, scale up a warehouse operation and have this great big thing go from day one. So when you're starting out and hustling, we are all usually putting in 40 hours at the very beginning.
Definitely.
And
build
building
machine,
it up.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's only when you're on your third or fourth iteration of business that you have capital and you say, okay, I'm now going to start with a model that works without me.
Yeah.
But for those guys building it up and bootstrapping, which is what we call it when you're starting and you're building it as you go along, you are going to be in the business still, and it is going to take time from you. But then I have seen those people burn out trying to scale and be the one in charge of scaling it. And that will have knock-on effects in the rest of your life. And then, if you're not doing it for the money, you're doing it because you enjoy it, but then you're scaling to a point where you miss your daughter's birthday party because you've got to go run an event, or you start missing out on other social occasions and don't have time to spend and do the things that you want to do. I see a lot of business owners in that position start resenting their business. And I've mentored and spoken to people who have said, I'm just fed up with it, I want to give this business away.
Yeah. And they can't even give it away.
Can't even give it away because it's not profitable, it's not worth anything.
Exactly.
But it's so sad because they've gone from running a business that they absolutely love to just getting a little bit too big and uncomfortable where they are because it's now sucking the life out of them. And they end up resenting it. So it's important to just figure out, everyone's different, but there is a point for everybody where they want to either scale back down and do it just as a hobby thing, or scale up and then start implementing, what we talked about before, so systems and team.
So in other words, what I'm getting from Chris's answer is that it really comes down to, if you're not doing it for the money, which I wouldn't suggest only doing it for the money, because the money will, ultimately not provide you the ultimate happiness. No. However, what money can achieve for you is what can provide happiness, right? So it's to be able to buy your time back. So by generating enough profit, now you can actually scale your business to hire staff, so that way you can no longer have to do those certain tasks that you may not enjoy, right? And that way then you are able to buy your time back, where now you have more time, freedom to now spend time with the ones that you love, or doing the things that you love. Like I personally love mountain biking, right? So I enjoy DJing. I love playing the game of business, but also want to get away from the desk sometimes, right? And so mountain biking is a way that I like to blow off my steam. I'm
an early morning surfer. I like to get up at the crack of dawn and paddle out and go surfing, which is really difficult when you're getting in from events at 3 a.m. in the morning.
True. That's a good point.
So,
yeah, definitely. Well, what are you excited about that's coming up in the immediate future for BoothBook specifically?
Yeah, so we're always working on the platform, and we rely heavily on the feedback from our users in order to find out what people want. Yeah. It's been really interesting to see the software grow in other industries now. So we're seeing people using it. I built it to be a photo booth company, CRM, but now we have hundreds and hundreds of DJs using it to run their businesses. Yeah. We have people who are doing it for dance floors, uplighting, candy carts, car hire, horse and carriage rental.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really grown, and it's really fun to see those different services come into the software, and the sort of feature requests and extra functionality that comes with that. So it's really becoming an all-in-one tool that can really handle pretty much anything now that gets rented out and needs its inventory sort of tracked. So it's really cool the way it's going. We're excited about partnerships that are upcoming as well. Yeah. So there's, as we branch into these other industries, we're relying on people in those industries that have that experience to work with us to build a better product. And it's exciting times ahead. Yeah.
So a little surprise that we want to unveil right now is actually Chris and I have decided to partner because we felt the same way. So we've been a customer of BoothBooks for quite some time. And again, we run a mobile DJ entertainment company. We do also happen to have photo booths, but we're like, man, this really works well for DJs. There are a couple of features that we'd love to add to the platform to make it more niche specific. And so we started chatting and we're like, this might be a great collaboration with Profit Flow, because we have the everything else CRM that provides the phone service, the SMS and email marketing, the website builder, and social media planner and so forth. And then your platform provides the event planning portion that we don't necessarily have, and we're not passionate about building out. And it's just not, if we were to build it ourselves, it'd probably burn up another year of just research and development, right? Versus you guys have already figured it out.
Figured it out. We've been doing it for years now. We've tried and tested with people all over the globe. As I said before, it's in 35 countries, works in all these different languages. It works for any size of business. And so, we're really excited to be developing the new iteration of it to be the event planner for you guys. So, I think I'm really excited to see where it's going to go. It's, exciting times ahead.
Likewise. Definitely.